What's going on, Jared Tones? I hope you all are well and in amazing health out there. So for those of you who are new around here, I am Jaren. I am a voice teacher, speech trainer, and the founder and owner of this illustrious studio, the Jaren Emliger Studio. Another request that I have taken forever to do, I'm going to do. Finally, y'all. I'm trying to get to all these requests, and I promise you I'm going to get to them. But I'm excited about this artist, about this performance. We all know what it is. I just love her so much, and y'all do too. So let's get into this. Here is Snarky Puppy featuring LALAH Hathaway singing Something.
It's something, you and I have something, how I long to be around when you can see that you and I have something.
Her hums sound so big. She sits in this open throat, retracted yawn that is just so beautiful, and it fits her voice and her range so well. That hum was almost like a big hug. I feel like the false vocal was retracted a little bit. That vocal track was open. It wasn't narrowed. It was very open. She generally stays very open and wide in the vocal track, generally when she sings. But you can hear some of that nasality because M is a nasal consonant. So as a result of having to sing the M, you hear a little nasality in the obviously. But even when she comes to the verse, it's something. Those false vocals are still retracted. That throat is still open and wide. And she almost lets the air pass on through. It's almost like her voice is like a big sigh. So good.
And coming, oh, it's something when you can see that. And I'm sure of one thing, how I long to be around when you can see that you and I have something. And coming, it's been a revelation, yeah.
Like for real, she got a range on her. I love when she gets bigger, the airiness leaves. When she gets bigger, the airiness leaves, and there's a little bit more of a ping and a brightness to her voice. Though she still has that open, retracted, yawn sound, there's still a ping and a brightness to it when she gets higher, and when she kind of lets the vocal folds come together a little more thickly. She kind of has more of an oomph to her voice when she sings. You can hear it right there in this little excerpt that we just listened to.
You've been an inspiration to me, and there is not one question, no.
And there is not one question, no. So she played with the larynx a little bit. And there is not, she kind of went down the larynx a little bit. And there is not one question, came back up, no. When she goes down, she tends to drop the larynx to kind of get more open as she goes lower.
Where my heart will run to.
I love how she switches so easily in her registers or in her vocal fold mask, body cover, whatever you want to call it. She switches from that nice low chest, does that yodel flip, and then comes back down, and then comes down to the end of that run right there. It was such a nice transition, and the quarter structures that she was spelling out and how she went up on that run and came back down and how they transitioned. That was so smart and how she made that so smooth. She makes this stuff sound so easy, and nothing she does is easy. And she makes it seem like, oh, I got this. She just has that ear where she can really play, and she understands the music in that way. She really listens in that way and really understands how the quarter structures go in the music, and she plays with those structures as she arpeggiates and jumps up emphatically as she goes up and down these notes like that.
Ooh, it's something, you and I have something. I don't want to lose this fun thing.
You know notice her style change. I don't wanna lose the something. So she kind of changed how she syncopated her runs to change with the music. So she's clearly changing styles. In the middle of this whole song, she's changing her styles and changing her vocal lines to finesse and to complement what's going on in the music right here, because there's a lot of changes quarterly within keys, within styles, and she's navigating it so well like it's nothing. Once again, this shows you, number one, how much of a chameleon she is. She can do these different styles and not think twice, but how pliable and applicable our voices can be. We can do different styles and do them successfully. It's just a point of knowing what you want to do and how to navigate through each style that you want to sing.
You can see that you and I have something in common. I can't believe we've been so blind. Looks like we've wasted so much time. There's not a doubt that rings untrue. Said when I'm with you.
And you notice the time meter change too. Okay, so she has time meter changes, key changes, style changes, chordal changes, and she's navigating it like it's nothing. Just so we're clear. So that was kind of like a trill, like a classical trill, or just an intentional move of the vocal folds. Ooh, because vibrato would be something like this. Ooh, but it wasn't vibrato. It was ooh. She kind of did like a little move of the vocal folds, okay?
You and I, you and I. Oh,
So now she's starting to scat. Okay, so she went down super low. And you notice when she went down super low, she did not push. I always tell my clients that when you go low, don't try to grind and have the same volume and try to push as you're doing your mid-range. Like if you're going low and it's kind of getting the bottom of your range, just let it float down there. You know, it's going to get softer. Let it get softer. Let the mic do its job. And if you watch her, when she went down there to that low part, she puckered her lips and got closer to the mic. So she kind of faced the mic this way. Oh. And then came back up. And as she came back up, she started scatting. Now we're adding scatting into everything she's already done. So we have time meter changes, key changes, chordal changes, style changes. Now she's adding scatting and all this other stuff in all that she's doing here. So she went chest voice scatting, la da 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 da, ooh, then put the head voice right there and kind of switched up and did a yodel flip right there.
So don't when I don't dance on the
In another video I did with Ella Fitzgerald, I talked about how people scat with certain sounds and certain syllables, certain phonemes. LALAH is another one who kind of does a lot of B's and D's and blah doo day doo da doo day. She kind of keeps those vowels more brighter and kind of keeps the vowels more forward. Like I said, Ella kind of does be doo be da ba da be da be dwee. She kind of has some more E and oohs. Lettucey kind of does record scratches and kind of more guttural, phonatory sounds, but LALAH stays with the B's and D's a little bit more and keeps the vowels, like those vowels that she's using, the phonemes that she's using, the vowels, brighter. Da dum da dum dum la dum 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 la dum dum day. She adds L's in there too. So a lot of these people who scat, who do it so well, usually have a certain group of syllables or nonsense syllables or phonemes that they gravitate towards. And again, I think that takes the thinking game out of how do I scat, or one element I should say. I'm not saying that scatting should be easy now that you have syllables to choose from, but typically when you have a certain group of syllables, I'm going to use these syllables or these sounds. That's one element I have to think, make less of when I do scatting and things like that. And I think it's another example right here.
Something in common. Seguro na tu puedo de. Seguro na tu puedo de. Puedo de pero de tiro de 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 de.
And she also scats within runs. You know, so she kind of uses more softer phoneme sounds or consonant sounds as she navigates through like these runs. So they kind of go smooth, a little more connected sometimes than other people's scats or things like that. So she kind of did like a register flip. So right here in this little excerpt right here, she's taking a lot of the consonants out. So she's saying more of the vowels than anything else right here. She just kind of took the consonants off and kind of say more of the vowels. She's still kind of scatting without the consonants, kind of doing the runs and things like that. But again, she took out the consonants to kind of bring in just more so like run type scats, if you will. And the reason why I'm calling it a run type scat is because she's still emulating instruments and how she's approaching this stuff. It's not just a scale. It's not just you know, she's really playing with the chords and really still emulating almost like a trumpet or a trombone of sorts, or a saxophone, how they would navigate through lines like this, you know. So I would say a scat like run versus just a run, you know. I love these glottal like those little glottal onsets. So she's attacking this with a nice heavy glottal onset, a glottal attack, a glottal start, whatever you want to call it. The vocal folds are coming together. A, E, E. It's almost like she's saying ah or E or A. That's what a glottal attack is, or a glottal onset. It's when the vocal folds slap together. A, E. So a lot of times when we say words with vowels like elephant, apple, orange, elephant, apple, orange, you hear the glottal onset is coming in when I say orange, elephant, this and that and the third. So that's what she's doing here. She's doing a lot of those glottal attacks. So again, she took the consonants out, putting more glottal attacks in there. So these are kind of scat-like runs with glottal attacks, if you will. The backgrounds are saying you and I, something. It wasn't something, you and I. There's a brightness, a smile to it that they're doing. Like the notes she's picking, they're not necessarily in the 8-tone scale that you would hear in a song like this. And that is such an elite, high level, top tier level of singing and thinking musically that a lot of people don't consider. They're like, oh no, I have to do what's in the chord, I have to just do, This is a high level artistry that I like to hear. Rochelle Farrell does this kind of stuff. You know, it's just that really dissonant or that really oddly placed note, but it still works within the chordal structure. Woo! You see, I'm getting all excited and tingly. You hear hear the sebula debu, so she had a lot of S's and L's. I told y'all she puts S's, L's, B's, and D's in her scatting. Now she's back to the consonants here. So then she opens up da lu de lu da with the I and the A vowels. That's what I'm talking about right here. So she separated and did a triplet on top of. So she added a triplet nuance or a synchronized scat on top of the 1, 2, 3, 4. Even thinking about music theory along the lines of rhythm in scatting, or rhythm and doing runs, or rhythm and singing, you can break it up in different ways. This is art. This is art, y'all. Oh, this is so good. So then she and so she went right up to that head voice and really broke up that line with the consonants and kind of made it staccato or choppy. That is such a phenomenon to me. So I know y'all were waiting to get to this part for me to explain what's going on here. I don't know. I am so sorry to disappoint you if you are disappointed, but I don't know. I have some theories, but I don't know how exactly that happens, but I have some theories. I actually asked several people who know how to do this if they knew how they did it, and every one of them said, I don't know how I do it, I just know I can do it. But I'm going to explain to you what I think happens when people do this. There are certain colors and textures and anatomical things that I'm hearing, which I think is leading to how people are able to do this. Some people do it differently. So here's my theory. So I think 3 main things are happening. Number 1, it's how the air is flowing. Number 2, how the vocal folds are coming together or not coming together. And 3, there's a little bit of a soft palate. And I'm going to tell you, if you notice when you hear her do the polyphonic singing right there, oh, there's almost an opening where the air is passing through the nose and the mouth. So if you notice, there's air passing through the nose and the mouth. So that means a soft palate or the velum is dropped just a little bit. Because I notice people do it, they always have either an or an vowel when they do it. It's never just like words. It's always like a vowel. So there's something with the air. And so when they do the vowel, there is something that's passing through the glottis or where the vocal folds meet. And I can't do it. I'm not trying to do it. I'm trying to show y'all what I hear. So there's something passing through the glottis where the vocal folds meet. And the vocal folds, I don't think are coming together all the way, because I've also talked to people who said, oh, I can only do it when I'm sick. That leads me to believe that there's something that the vocal folds aren't doing, or they're not coming together fully. Because you know, when you're sick or when you're tired, your vocal folds tend to be swollen. And when they're swollen, they're not as pliable. So like your range is limited, your movements are limited, like everything kind of is a little more laborious to do vocally. So I think with that theory, there's something that's happening to the vocal folds where they're not coming together all the way. Because you can hear air passing through the throat or the glottis or where the vocal folds meet when she does it. And when you hear a lot of people do it, the sound gets softer and it's more airy. There's something with the airflow. The soft palate is dropped a little bit too, and the vocal folds are not coming together. Either they're coming together uniquely or they're not coming together fully, but there's something with the friction of the air between the nose and the mouth, you know, like the air passes through the nose and the mouth, and the friction of the air and the vocal folds. In a way, I feel like there's something that's happening in that airflow. So when the air passes through those chambers and with the friction, it creates overtones of polyphony, or kind of just 2 chords or 2 sounds happening, 2 or 3 notes happening at the same time. You know, I can sometimes do that kind of stuff when I'm like not feeling well or my voice is tired. I can make those sounds kind of happen, but it's not at will. It's like, oh, I just did that polyphonic singing stuff, but it's nothing like, oh, I'm just going to call it up. But I think people like LALAH Hathaway and other people have found a way to call this thing up. I wish I could do it. You know, it'd be so cool if I could, but I can't. So, you know, so that's my theory behind what is happening. I could be completely incorrect. I may be completely incorrect, but that's my hypothesis. So I hope I didn't disappoint. I know y'all was waiting on this part for me to explain what she's doing here, but that's all I got. And if I ever figure out how to do it, or if somebody tells me and I can inform you all, I will definitely make another video about it. But that's all I got so far. They're just vibing out at this point. They're just kind of just feeling the music. She's like, you and I. I mean, she's done enough work in this 7 minutes of a song already. At this point, let's just vibe out and have a good time, you know? If you enjoyed this analysis, click subscribe down below and click the alert button next to it so you know when the next video is posted. And as I will always say to all of you, be vocally bold, creative, and aware, but most of all, be vocally you. All right, Jerry Tones, I will see y'all soon.